amid rising tensions following high-level talks between the country's top officials, Jake Sullivan and Wang Yi in Vienna.
A mixed start to trade here in Asia will keep you on top of the market moves as Singapore's STI comes online. Plus, investors reacting negatively to SoftBank's latest earnings call, falling as much as 3.8%. Stay with us.
Warm memories wherever you go. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Learning about cervical cancer.
99.7% of cervical cancer is caused by a virus. It is as common as the flu virus.
An innovation that shrinks breast cancer tumors.
The field penetrates deep into the breast where the tumor is. No incisions, no injections.
And what to do about menopause.
There's no one size fits all. All women are different.
On the Pulse, Saturday on CNA.
And a love so deep we cannot measure. Ain't nobody loves me better. Makes me happy, makes me feel this way. Ain't nobody loves me better than you.
CNA's The Climate Conversations podcast is an honoree at the 27th Annual Webby Awards. With nearly 14,000 entries from 74 countries, this distinction puts CNA among the very best of the World Wide Web.
What would convince a meat-eating population to switch to meatless alternatives?
Check out this and many more podcasts at cna.asia/listen. Also available on the CNA and Me Listen apps or wherever you get your podcasts.
The battle for the ballot is heating up in Thailand as political parties gear up for Sunday's election. And the next stage of First, a look at the newly formed United Thai Nation Party and Prayut Chan-o-cha's bid to remain in power before hitting its 2-year term limit.
This is Asia First.
It's 9 a.m. here in Singapore. I'm Julie Yu. The headlines this Friday morning. Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan will appear before the Islamabad High Court today, a day after the Supreme Court ruled his arrest was illegal. At least 10 people have been killed amid violent protests over his detention.
I'm Steve Lai. Also this morning, U.S. officials say warring factions in Sudan have committed to protecting civilians and allowing the movement of humanitarian aid. But a ceasefire deal remains elusive despite international pressure. Plus, high-level talks amid high tensions. The White House says U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and China's top diplomat Wang Yi held candid and constructive discussions in Vienna on topics including Russia's war in Ukraine.
I'm Henry Yin with Business News. Elon Musk won't reveal who the new Twitter CEO is, but says she will start in about 6 weeks. The Wall Street Journal reports the company is in talks with NBC Universal's advertising head, Linda Yaccarino. And luring advertisers with artificial intelligence, Meta says its tools will help brands experiment with text variation and background generation.
The Pakistan Supreme Court has declared the arrest of former Prime Minister Imran Khan unlawful, 2 days after his detention triggered deadly violence and huge protests nationwide.
It's not clear when Mr. Khan would be allowed to go home. He's now in the bench's custody until later today, when he returns to the Islamabad High Court, where he was earlier detained.
The Supreme Court was pleased to set aside that order and declare that he could not have been taken into custody. So the custody with the NAB has been declared illegal.
The government, however, has denounced the ruling, calling it a special reprieve for the former premier. It says it's determined to find other legal avenues to arrest him.
लेकिन मीडिया की वसातत से कम ये सवाल जरूर सामने लाना चाहता हूँ कि नवाज शरीफ से लेके मेरे जैसे वर्कर और बेशुमार हमारे साथी जो हैं वो क्यों अदलिया के जो है इस हुस्न सलूक से महरूम रहे हैं और ये हुस्न सलूक जो है ये इस तरह सिलेक्टिव बुनियादों के ऊपर जो है क्या सिर्फ इमरान खान के लिए जो है वो महफूज है.
Khan's supporters cheered on news that his arrest was overturned. The streets are now mostly quiet, a stark contrast to the past few days when several thousand rampaged through major cities, setting fire to state buildings, army installations, and blocking roads. At least 9 people died in the unrest, and more than 2,000 were arrested, with the army called in to help restore order.
ये बताना चाहता हूं कि ये अवाम खुद ब खुद निकली है सिर्फ अपने जश्न और खुशहाली के लिए, क्योंकि खान साहब आज जो अदलिया की आज़ादी का दिन है और अदलिया एक आज़ाद हमारे मुल्क में एक आज़ाद एक रियासत को कायम कर रही है, ग्रिड को.
But Mr. Khan's legal woes are far from over. He will again face the corruption charges brought by the anti-graft agency in court today. The latest concerning alleged land fraud is one of the more than 100 registered cases against him. The one-time cricket star has denied any wrongdoing. If convicted, he could face a ban from holding public office. Sudan's warring factions have committed to priorities the flow of humanitarian aid to the country. Both sides signed a deal in the Saudi city of Jeddah, which should also ensure the safe passage of civilians in areas affected by fighting. The parties have also declared that they would work towards a short-term ceasefire through further talks. The envoys have been meeting for nearly a week in talks mediated by the U.S. and Saudi Arabia to address the ongoing violence. More than 750 people have been killed and hundreds of thousands others displaced since the conflict began nearly a month ago. The UN Human Rights Council, meantime, has passed a resolution to step up monitoring of human rights abuses in Sudan. It narrowly passed. 18 nations voted in favor of the Western-led initiative, with 15 others against. The backers of the resolution have insisted that it's vital for the Council to act swiftly.
I'm glad that the Human Rights Council has voted today in favour of peace, in favour of human rights, in favour of international humanitarian law, and in favour of the people of Sudan, who are the victims of this unnecessary conflict that we all want to see end as soon as possible.
But no African countries, including Sudan, backed the motion. Khartoum described the conflict as an internal affair and called for, quote, African solutions for African problems. Other countries, such as China, have urged the international community to respect Sudan's sovereignty. And the crisis has sparked fears that the famine across the region could worsen. The World Food Programme is now calling for urgent assistance to support neighboring Chad in assisting more than 2 million people in urgent need of food. That includes at least 30,000 people who recently fled the conflict in Sudan. And the organization warns that aid for refugees and internally displaced people will come to a complete halt this